Hello all, I'm Brian Avery and thank you for coming back to our YouTube channel to follow our family's beekeeping story here in, again, a lovely sunny Hertfordshire in the UK. I wanted to sort of do an inspection again today. So today is Wednesday, it's the 18th of May. It's now been 10 days since I did the original inspection, or the last inspection. If you recall, and then this is the comb hive, or will be just for comb honey at its intention. And that one we couldn't see any signs of any queens. The queen cells were no longer there, so whether they'd been destroyed or whether they'd emerged. No signs of a queen, no queen laying. I wouldn't have expected that last week, but this week we potentially might see some signs if a queen was out, a virgin queen was out being mated last week. So we want to keep an eye on that and check that. This colony was a colony where the bees had actually swarmed from on Good Friday, the 15th of June, which is just over a week ago. It's a week and 3 days ago, month and 3 days ago. And what we want to do is check on there. If you recall last week, fantastic. I actually saw the queen emerging. I showed you on the video the cell where it looked like a queen was potentially emerging, or it could have been potentially another worker had gone in to try and tidy up afterwards and clean up, but it was actually a queen. I'm sorry I didn't get that actually on camera, her actually emerging, but you did see her emerge, or in that I told you I could see her come out of the cell. And so we put her back in there, closed up the hives, and didn't bother her. So she's had 10 days, so she should now be mated. So hopefully, so long as she wasn't eaten by anything or something else happened to her, we should hopefully start seeing some egg cells in this one. This is the queen who actually swarmed, put her into her new home, and so it's just on the other side of the same hive, as this is a double hive. So I want to check through with her and see how she is doing, make sure she's continuing to lay. If there are insufficient bees or something potentially on these two, probably more this hive, and I'll explain why just now, then I might take another frame of bees out of this, or drone, to put them into this hive. Now, one of the key things is why this hive will probably have the least, and I'm expecting this to have the least number of bees, was that this was split from this hive. And this was obviously the leftovers, if I can call it that, the bees that actually remained following the swarm. And when we actually did the split, a lot of the bees would have that were still harvesting, they would have come back to this hive, not this one, and some that would have left this one to go and forage would have probably gone back to this hive. So this is probably going to be the smallest colony that we have for that reason. Anyway, what we want to do today as well. Now I'm going to leave some pictures, but what I did do yesterday was pull out these boards down here with the sticky traps, which I did the monitoring, and what I did see on all 3 hives is Varroa on these sticky boards. Less so in the in this hive here, with a strong colony on, probably because they're cleaning and able to do better. These ones haven't had queens, they've probably not been motivated in the same way, but also they probably got fewer bees, and for some other reason, I don't know, but there seem to be a few more sort of signs of Varroa in the bottom of these 2 hives. So what I want to do is treat all 3 hives. I'm not doing any harvesting of anything at the moment. What I am going to do is some strips, and I'll show you those just now. But I want to get those done before I get into the main harvesting season as far as these colonies are concerned. I know there are many bees out there, colonies, which are already been harvested and had their first crop of honey. So key thing there is with this hive, depending what I might or might not do in respect of frames, I may want to have a look at whether or not this coming weekend, so only in 2 or 3 days, I might even consider potentially putting some flower frames in here. So let us see where we are, and let's dive in. One thing I wanted to sort of explain to you is that I always do, now this is my choice, I always make sure there is water in the apiary. This is just an upside down feeder, entrance feeder. I don't use it for that purpose, but all I do is fill it up with water and put it down. Now in the last couple of months we've hardly had any rain. Just this last week we finally had some rain, and what I'm finding is in those dry periods the bees are getting through this, and that was predominantly one colony or two colonies that's in the last month, but they've been going through this in a week or so. So I just keep topped up. Why go find water elsewhere if they've got it nice and locally? So in respect of the Varroa treatment, what I'm using is Apitraz 500 milligrams. Now this is quite simple. It's just what you can actually use this, put in between 2 strips per frame or per hive, per colony, between the brood, but actually in the brood section, but preferably between 2 honey frames. What I'm going to do is one towards one end of the close to the entrance, and one towards the end of the brood frames, but where they are not drawing at the moment, but before they actually really are drawing, because they're putting those new frames. So that's where I'm going to do it. So hopefully the bees will be able to go on both sides of the actual strip, and I will show you what they are like as I actually put them in. So that's Apitraz 500. If anybody else uses any other treatments for Varroa at this sort of time of year, please put in some comments and let me know what you use. Okay, let's dive in. So I want to have a look at this colony first, because it is probably the weakest of the colonies. Now, should I have done the split? I still think it was the right thing to do. I will also show you, and you'll see coming up on the screen, I've noticed that there are a lot of dead bees on the just under the entrance. So that could be because of the Varroa, could be because of something else, or could just be because the bees are haven't had any queens and new sort of brood and things coming through, and therefore those bees that are still here are just literally getting rid of the bees, dragging them out and dumping them rather than trying to take them away. So on this, it's going to be a relatively quick inspection, and I think in those 2 or that first frame, which I put in last week, this one, very few bees. There are nectar. I'm just checking that there is no queen. A little bit of nectar on this side, just quickly there. So not much at all. There aren't many bees coming up. Again, in the centre there is pollen. There is some nectar being filled in some of these. Here is a queen cup, but if there's no eggs, nothing can come of that. So I am going to just get rid of that. So I really need to. I will put in some new eggs. But as I said, I've got another queen on order, and she would be able to sort of do what we need. Here again, I've been doing something. Looks like maybe those other queen cells didn't really take off. So pollen, very few bees, as you can see there. So this is not proving what I would call a successful hive. What I might do is even just say, actually I'm not bothered going to. If they do go, I will wait until I get the queen, and then you keep these frames for this purpose. But they are I want to show you from when we move them in here, you can see the queen cells. So there were queens which have emerged, because those are emerged cells. So just need to find out. There's no sign of any queen, and by the sounds of this, the temperament is very quiet. Lots of bees on the front. Not the best start of any inspection. That frame is completely and utterly empty on one side, but there is some nectar on the other side. This is just again lots of nectar. So this has been recently filled out with nectar. So whatever's happened to this colony has happened in the last week. Now, could she have swarmed? Possibly. Definitely, it is a possibility. If it was something they weren't happy with this hive. I can see in the bottom of this hive there are quite a few dead bees. So something's definitely not. I can see them just literally dragging bees out. I will leave them to it and just let them do that themselves. But I am going to treat. No signs of queens, just because of what are here. I did put a frame of brood in here last week, and they've all emerged. So what I am going to do, because there are very few here, that's a very big colony, as I suspect it is. I'm actually going to put split them again into this colony, just because I think that's going to be the right thing to do. But I will wait until I get a queen from Peter, and that will mean that this colony, I'm going to say, is probably going to be a failed colony. We learned from our experience. I was hoping all those queen cells, there were at least half a dozen that I put in here when I did the split 3 weeks ago. I was hoping they would actually sort of come out, but I'm going to class this now as a failed colony. I'm not going to do anything with this one. What I'm going to do is shake these bees probably into this one. They are related, and I'm sure they will be taken. Leave this as it is, and then what we will do is effectively we've got some stores and some frames in here for when I do get the other get the queen. I will then be able to take some bees, split, shake them into here, into these frames where there'll be no eggs. So and introduce a new queen, because there'll be no eggs. This will be a failed colony from that perspective. They are more likely than to readily accept the new queen when I pick her up from in 2 or 3 weeks time. So all I've got to do is just make sure that that colony is got sufficient stores and something to do to keep this going, which might mean I move some of these empty frames into there so they've got stuff to work on, and put the rest into this one. So I'm going to leave this open for now, open this one up, shake these bees into here. So this was the colony that did swarm, or the swarm came from. So there was no queen. We had the emergency queen cells. Last week we actually did do a look at this. There's just some fondant, put it in there, but I can sort it out. We did see the queen actually emerge, or a queen emerge, at the time that we did the inspection. She's not on there, and on the front. For this hive, there's no obvious signs of excessive bees at the entrance. So all I'm going to do is actually, again, I'm going to quite quick through this as far as where it's obvious there's no activity. That frame, no drawn, no action at all on it. This one, they are literally just starting to draw on, but even that little bit is full of nectar. Having a look on the bottom, absolutely full of nectar, and the old queen cells which hadn't emerged as of last week. So if you recall, I left those last week, just there, another one, and there's 2 more there, some of which had emerged as of last week. So I'm going to now remove all of those because they are no longer needed, because there's hopefully a queen from what we saw last week, but also we don't want to encourage them potentially to consider any more queens. I did 2 frames that were on wax foundation. The rest were, or the other 3, because of the 5 frame nuke, nothing on there. The other, as I said, the other frames were on this black wax coated plastic. So what I do here, well, there are queen cells, but again these are all cups. Lots of new nectar, pollen on there, which I will show you. I just want to make sure there's no queen. She isn't marked in here, so I just want to make sure I do have a look. It's all been drawn there. What I will remove again is this excess wax that is on the bottom of the frame. Always having a look at the bottom of the frames, on the floor. Again, unlike the other colony, no dead bees that are apparent, and also lots of activity, no queen again as previously. Once again, there are drones in this one, lots of pollen, sealed honey frames again. So just check, no sign of a queen. She should be mated now, so she should hopefully stand out relatively well, but I'm sure we've all had that game to try and spot a queen. But there again is an old cell, but in there you can hopefully see lots of pollen, all a few different colours. It shows you that there is a variety and has been a variety of flowering crops and garden plants around here. Okay. Again, this colony sounds nice and calm, nothing untoward. And here. Okay, just a bit of drawing of this frame. I think this is one I put in 2 weeks ago. And then this is a stored. And then 2 more honey. Heavy, lots of pollen on this. So this is drawn. And this is a side which would be. So I haven't seen any eggs in this inspection at all. The next 2 frames are just plain, just drawn out, or not drawn out. They're just starting to just do some. You can see starting to do some coating of some wax. So I'm not going to have a look at those 2. So I haven't seen a queen in this one either, but we did see her emerge last week. It's a reasonably sized colony. So I am going to put the apivar strips in here, but before I do that I want to just shake in these other bees from this other colony, just because they are related. They did come from here, so I'll just use my brush just to get the odd one that stands out. Doesn't want to go in. Putting out some of these frames, and there's no bees on them. Just shows you how this is effectively an unsuccessful hive. So I'm going to leave those as they are now. There's no point doing anything else with that hive. I will just move that and close it up. So on this hive, back to here, almost like just a handful of bees that I actually put in here. I'm going to put these here, and then I'm going to put in the 2 strips at the point where, just having a quick look down, I'm sure there's no queen I can see on. I'm not saying there isn't a queen, I am fine. Oh, there's 2 bees fighting in here trying to sting each other, so maybe one of those bees that I put in isn't being accepted, but most of them just seem very calm, no problem at all with them. Okay, so that's all of them there. Put that back, and that's all I'm going to do with that colony. So disappointing I didn't see the queen, but I don't want to make a big song and dance about trying to make sure I see queens every single time. It is still early, 10 days since she emerged, but any time now, if she is there, I would expect her to be starting to be available to lay. So putting one on one side, slightly to one side, and the other apivar strip. So these can stay in for no more than 6 weeks, according to the packet. So what I will do is monitor the drop of new mites on the actual board. So I've taken some photos of both boards, and that we'll just really monitor how well those are or are not doing as far as the drop. Hopefully there'll be a good drop in the next week or so. I will probably put a new foundation in about a week's time to give most of the drop to actually happen on the old sticky trap, and then we can, after a week or 2, we can just leave that as is. And with my food minder sensor there we are. Right then, ladies, we'll leave you to it. Okay, a bit of a surprise. I was just tidying these up, these frames in this queen. I've just shaken a whole lot of bees in there, and I've just found a queen. So here she is. So I'm not going to mark her at the moment, but so it's completely thrown my plan. She is obviously mated, looking how big she is. So what I'm going to do is another change of plan. I'm going to put some brood and some potentially some eggs into this hive now, and probably just a frame or two of bees. But what I want to do is probably check from this hive, because if I go through this one again, if I can find the queen, then I probably won't be taking any bees from this one, but I might just take brood and things from that hive there, because I just want to make sure that she's got something that will help her look after, because this hive is so small. Anyway, change of plans. Here we go again. Okay, so here you can see the queen. She's in there. The other bees are coming around her. You can see her abdomen underneath. Now I'm going to do a quick piece of work. I'm going to move some frames over, as I said, and then we're going to move this forward. Okay, I'm going to go through. Just hear me in the background. I'm going to go back and forth. I am in the colony that has swarmed, that is queen right. We know that. So all I'm wanting to do on this frame, or this hive, is go through, find some cells that I can, or cells and frames with some brood that will emerge soon, and some bees, and I will shape them into this colony. I will do the frames, shape the bees in the frames that actually have brood. The reason for that is those are the ones that are most likely going to have nurse bees on, so therefore they won't be foraging, and therefore they will not be they won't be sort of flying around, and therefore will fly back to this hive. The queen is filling up, just making sure she's not in it, because I would like to move some of these bees over, as I said. So I do not want to have another queen. Okay, so they can go in there. No queen cells, nothing in there. What I'm going to do, put those there next to her. I'm going to put this in here, and then tonight, I know it's not the ideal way, I will come and I will, or tomorrow morning maybe, I will release her. Hopefully by then they'll realise there's no other queen. It's not the ideal way. Just check on this frame, there's no queen, and I will show you this frame again. So some drones, it's drawn, got lots of brood, so this will help with the numbers soon. No new cells or eggs, but just to show you that. I'm going to treat this a bit like a nuke, in that I'm going to literally have 5 or 6 frames. What I am going to do is put the Varroa treatment here, not on the same frame where the queen is at the moment. I am going to take this other frame out. So I want to treat it as a 5 or 6 frame nuke. I just put all the other frames on the other side of the end board. But do this as is. And just doing it over because I'm going to move the queen over herself. There we are. Move this over here. And then hopefully one more frame, so there's one full of brood in there, one with some brood and some nectar, and final, the end one close to the entrance is effectively just stores. So this one is another frame with lots of eggs. Just check there's no queen, that she's not on here. I will quickly go through the other frames just to make sure I can find her. There are some little queen cups on these ones, so I am just getting rid of them at the same time, which does imply that this colony does want some more stuff to work on. So as I'm taking these frames out, I will probably just put the odd frame in. So no queen on there, but we do have lots of eggs in that one, so that will help encourage her to hopefully lay. There is some space for her to lay as well, so that's effectively 5 frames. I will put one more frame in. I just want to make sure that she it's one that's got some space for laying in. If she is newly hatched, emerged and mated, then we want to make sure that she's got a space to actually start laying. Really got to be careful that I do not obviously put the queen in. She's not on this frame either, but again, got brood and things in here. So that's all I'm going to do. That's going to be treated now. It's a 6-frame nuke, Langstroth nuke. I'm going to put in these frames, which I've taken out to give this colony more to do. Got stores here, those 3 frames, something to work on and lay. This is mainly drawn, but space for her to work on. She's actually in here. I will sort of come back probably tomorrow morning and release her while she's in there. They will realise there's no other queen in here. Now ideally I'd want to do this over a number of days, so I might even do it tomorrow evening, give her more than 24 hours where they will realise that she's that there is no chance of having it. Obviously there are some young brood, but I try not to get eggs in here so that there's no chance that they will think, oh, let's make an emergency queen from that. Okay, so let's put the brood minder in here, and hopefully we've saved this queen and we'll make this a successful colony. So hopefully you've enjoyed that rather unusual, again another unexpected video for us here on our channel here in lovely sunny Hertfordshire. Please do subscribe, tick that bell if you want to be notified of future episodes that we release, and of course if you've enjoyed this one, please like this episode. Enjoy your beekeeping. So as you can see here, these are all the bees in front of a hive, which explains why the population has dropped as much as it has. Hopefully now that we rectified it, we put in the bees, as you saw earlier. At least they're coming in and out, seeing them landing as well. So maybe as we do this, so they are leaving and coming back. So hopefully we've done enough to rescue this now that there is a queen.